You didn't introduce yourself. You didn't explain your value. You didn't compete for attention, but the energy shifted the moment you walked in. They lowered their voice. They straightened their posture. They glanced toward you, not out of fear, but out of recognition, not of who you are, but of what you carry. That's not charisma. That's not confidence. That's shadow aura. An invisible force, a silent pressure, a presence that doesn't need to speak, because its silence already speaks louder than most voices. In this video, you'll learn how to build that aura, not through noise, but through depth, and become the kind of presence that commands without movement. Part 1. What is a shadow aura? Shadow aura isn't about attention. It's not about charisma. It's not even about confidence. It's about undeniable presence, the kind that enters a room and makes people stop, without knowing why. You don't speak first, but they feel you first. Shadow aura is quiet, composed, unbothered, unavailable, deep, not cold, not aggressive, just undeniably real. You don't perform, you don't react, you don't explain, and yet everyone else adjusts. It's the energy of someone who doesn't seek to be seen. Most people enter with noise, movement, excitement, self-promotion, but you enter like someone who's already chosen themselves. No need to prove, no need to charm, no need to signal power, because the energy holds it already. And that energy makes people feel something. This person isn't here to be accepted, they're here on their own terms. It's called shadow because it's unspoken. People can't define it, they can't name it, but they feel it. They say, "There's something about you. I couldn't stop watching you. I don't know what it is, but something." That's shadow aura, felt, not seen, projected, not forced. And once you carry it, you no longer have to enter loud, because the air moves before you do. Part 2. Why stillness creates more impact than movement. Most people try to impress by doing more, talking louder, moving faster, taking up space, filling the silence. But true presence doesn't chase attention. It pulls it, and nothing pulls harder than stillness. Movement seeks. Stillness holds. When someone keeps adjusting, explaining, reacting, they're sending a signal, I need to be noticed, I need to be accepted. But when someone moves less, they signal, I don't need this room. This room needs to decide if it aligns with me. That shift in posture changes how people relate to you. Stillness creates psychological pressure. Why? Because it creates space, and space makes people uncomfortable. They wonder, why aren't you reacting? Why aren't you filling the silence? What are you thinking? What do you know that I don't? And in that wondering, you gain gravity. The stiller you are, the more others move around you. People trust what doesn't flinch. When energy is calm, unmoved, centered, it signals power. You're not trying to control the room. You're not reacting to their frame. You're not proving value. You're just being, but with weight. And people feel that weight. They adjust around it. They seek alignment with it, even if they don't know why. Because the nervous system recognizes strength not by volume, but by regulation. Stillness creates mystery. Mystery creates obsession. Movement is clarity. Stillness is suggestion, and suggestion leaves space. Space invites projection. Projection leads to emotional entanglement. And that's where obsession begins. You don't need to reveal more. You just need to hold more than others can read. Strategic truth. The one who moves less feels like they know more. The one who speaks less feels like they hold more. And the one who stays still, while others rush, chase, perform, becomes the anchor, the center, the presence that lingers. Part 3. 5. Core elements that build a shadow aura. You don't speak more. You don't move more. You don't give more. You hold more, more depth, more silence, more self-command. Here's how to build the aura. They feel before you say anything. 1. Controlled silence. You don't avoid speaking. You choose when not to. You pause longer than others tolerate. You leave gaps others feel compelled to fill. You let people sit in their own energy. Why it works? Most people speak to reduce tension. You let tension work for you. Your silence doesn't mean absence. It means control. 2. Low, grounded breath. Your nervous system broadcasts everything: shallow, anxious, erratic, reactive. Controlled equals powerful. You breathe low, slow, intentional, not just to stay calm, but to project calm. Why it works? Breath sets tempo. Tempo sets tone. The one who controls breath controls the room. 3. Neutral, unapologetic eye contact. You look at people without demand, without fear, without need. No darting, no searching, just presence. You're not trying to overpower. You're just not hiding. Why it works? When your gaze says, "I'm not performing for you," it makes people question why they feel the need to perform for you. That imbalance equals influence. 4. Minimal verbal output, maximum meaning. You don't speak in volume. You speak in density. Short sentences, strong subtext, no over-explaining, no fillers, no justification. Why it works? Every word you say feels like it carries something behind it, because it does. Your full presence. 5. Unreadable micro-expressions. You don't wear your emotion on your sleeve. You don't give people instant feedback. You let them guess. Subtle smirk, half-second delay, blank expression at peak intensity. Why it works? Ambiguity equals projection. Projection equals entanglement. People get hooked, not by what you reveal, but by what they can't quite read. Final insight. Shadow aura isn't created by action, it's created by containment. Not showing everything, not giving everything, not reacting to everything. You carry your power like something they feel, but can't define. And that's what keeps you unforgettable. Part 4. How to become the energetic center without trying. You don't need to compete. You don't need to impress. You don't need to own the room. You just need to own yourself. So fully, so calmly, that others begin to orbit around you. 1. Stop chasing attention. Hold presence. You don't reach out energetically. You don't try to be noticed. You don't chase engagement. You stay in your frame, in your posture, in your breath. And that stability makes people look without knowing why. Why? Because most people leak energy. You don't. That contrast makes you magnetic. 2. Stabilize your nervous system deeper than the room. The loudest person isn't the leader. The calmest one is. In moments of tension, you don't flinch, you don't shift, you don't match chaos, you stay grounded. And people feel that. When they're here, the energy settles. Now, you're not a participant. You're the regulator. That makes you the center. 3. Don't try to hold space. Be the space. You're not trying to manage the room. You're just becoming the one person who doesn't need the room to manage them. You sit, you breathe, you listen, you respond slowly, if at all. And in doing less, you carry more. They feel it in their body, not their mind. That's when influence becomes cellular. 4. Be comfortable with not being understood. Most people rush to clarify, to explain, to make sure they're seen the right way. You don't. You're fine being unreadable. You're fine being misjudged. You're fine not giving access. Why it works? Mystery is not confusion. Mystery equals restraint. And restraint forces others to lean in. Now they're adjusting around you because they want to get it. And that effort makes you central. 5. Carry an inner reason for being there, but don't share it. You have your own mission, your own timing, your own layer of intent. You don't need external validation, because your energy already has direction. You're not drifting, you're not seeking, you're anchored, and people instinctively respect what doesn't move for them. Bottom line, you don't lead by stepping forward, you lead by standing still, while others orbit. Around the stillness they don't understand. You don't need to become the center, you just need to stop leaving your own. And when you do, everything else aligns. Part 5. The difference between empty silence and charged stillness. Not all silence is powerful. Not all stillness has weight. There's a difference between hiding and holding. One makes you invisible, the other makes you undeniable. Empty silence avoids. You don't speak because you're afraid. You don't move because you're unsure. You go quiet hoping no one notices. That's not presence, that's absence. And people feel it. They don't respect it. They overlook it. Because you've left the space energetically, even if your body's still there. Charged stillness commands. You're not hiding, you're just not giving. You speak with your calm. You occupy space without asking. You withhold, not out of fear, but out of choice. This stillness isn't passive, it's loaded. Every pause is intentional, every gaze is placed, every movement is minimal, because nothing needs to be proven. One feels like emptiness. The other feels like gravity. Empty silence leaves people unsure. Charged stillness makes them curious. Empty silence makes people forget you. Charged stillness makes them obsess. Because one says, I don't want to be seen. The other says, I don't need to be seen. But if you do, you won't forget it. Practical rule. It's not about doing less. It's about being more while doing less. You don't radiate by disappearing. You radiate by staying fully intact, fully grounded, fully present, while everyone else is still looking for a role to play. Final CTA. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't take up more space. You didn't interrupt anyone. You just entered, and everything shifted. Not because you tried, but because you held. You held your breath. You held your posture. You held your presence. And the room began to rotate around you, because that's the nature of shadow aura. You don't have to show power. You become the space. That makes others feel their lack of it. You don't chase energy. You regulate it, and in your stillness, others lose noise. From now on, don't speak first. Don't move fast. Don't explain. Just arrive and remain intact. You're not here to convince. You're here to remind. Power doesn't ask. Presence doesn't beg. Silence, when it holds enough truth, is louder than any performance.